NIO stock is approaching $3 a share. It's going under 4. Is NIO still a $1 trillion company? If it is worth $1 trillion, that would mean the share price of at least $600 per share. Is NIO a $1 trillion company? I understand it's very frustrating to see NIO stock price go down, to see our portfolios, right, in the red and be hit again and again, seeing some green evaporated into red. It's very, very painful, okay? But I guess it's very important to not lose track of the long-term thing, the long-term picture. They're doing a lot of great stuff right now, but it's just that it's not being monetized currently, not being monetized right now. Namely, for example, people tend to forget that NIO has the most number of charging stations out of an EV company here in China. On top of that, of course, without even further mentioning, they have the most number of swap stations out of any automobile company here in China. The other guys are basically negligible. So in terms of total infrastructure, NIO has about 3 times more total infrastructure than that of Tesla here in China. So NIO is becoming an energy giant, right? And also, let's not forget the fact that NIO is starting to earn money from energy trading, grid stabilization, and NIO is also, right? NIO is also selling swap stations. Well, not essentially selling, but having energy companies and private companies own swap stations in their own name. NIO operates them, and those energy companies can use it for grid stabilization and also for just energy trading in general, and just operating it as a business. And that's going to save NIO a lot of money as well. So that's just on the energy front. Energy front, NIO is already like 3 times more than Tesla in terms of charging infrastructure. Even in a lot of rural places, there aren't any chargers nearby, like up in the mountains in certain cities, but NIO has a few chargers there. And very often, EREVs and hybrids and these cars, they have to rely on NIO's chargers at these rural locations. And NIO does jack up the price quite a lot, and they do earn quite a lot of money from these chargers. But that's just on energy front. On the tech front, NIO made that chip, the God chip, NX9031. It's the first ever self-developed chip here in China, 5 nanometer process. Even Huawei doesn't have this. Nobody else in China has this. They are the first ever. It's like NVIDIA, all right? And it's equivalent to 4 Orin-X chips. And it's equal to 4 NVIDIAs, guys. So in that essence, it's also just a remarkable breakthrough. And I wouldn't be too surprised if NIO got some grants from the Chinese government because of this chip breakthrough. Like, nobody else can do this. NIO proved everybody wrong. NIO is the only one that made their own self-developed autonomous driving chip. Absolutely incredible. Right? And in the future, of course, if they're able to license this out, like NIO CEO said, they're going to be licensing out battery swap and software, which we'll talk about in a moment. And then they're also going to license out this chip. I mean, they can earn a whole lot of money just from this chip alone, selling these chips, having it on every single vehicle out there, electric vehicle or non-electric vehicle. Absolutely spectacular. So what they're doing, right? Again, they spent a lot of money, burnt a lot of R&D money on this, but they haven't yet been able to monetize it yet. All right, they're going to be able to monetize it a few years down the line. So it's going to take some time. And then on top of that, of course, software. We talked about how NIO is almost like Microsoft in the sense that they wrote their own software code, right, from scratch, their own operating system. And that is just absolutely spectacular. And they showed off how it's so much more capable than Linux And it's just next generation, revolutionary, built for AI, built for autonomous driving. And they're also going to be licensing this out as well in the future. CEO said that. He's confirmed about it. So you got chip licensing, you got battery swap licensing that's happening now. You got software licensing, which I think will happen maybe 2-3 years down the line. You got all these licensing things that could earn them a whole lot of money. But at the end of the day, for right now, the biggest factor to the stock price is, of course, sales and deliveries in their current vehicles, right? And let's not forget, NIO has 2 other sub-brands coming out. That's really going to help them just send deliveries through the roof, okay? We're at that inflection point where things are going to change. They're going to turn around. It's not just NIO cars that are going to be delivered. It's also Onvo very soon, also Firefly. So that could itself could push NIO group deliveries to maybe 50,000 or maybe even more than that per month. If NIO themselves are delivering 20,000 per month, how much can Onvo or Firefly deliver? All right, well, for sure, the total deliveries will be more than 20,000 for sure. They've spent so much money on this, right? Investors have taken the burden of having to pay for these factories, factory 3, factory 4. That's very expensive. The 2 sub-brands, try creating a car brand. How much is it going to cost you? It's going to cost you a lot of money. So all this shows up on the balance sheet, hurts the balance sheet, eats away the cash. And we're seeing that, but we're not seeing the fruit of success. It's like we bought all the seeds, planted all the seeds, and we spent a lot of money. We're watering the seeds, but we haven't seen it turn into a tree or bear fruit. And we're just upset. We're upset because right now the value of the company is like nothing. All right, the company, the value is like nothing. It's under $10 billion. What the hell is that? NIO should be at least 100 billion right now, just with the technology that they possess. And then on top of that, with the car sales, the amount of sales they're doing, what they're capable of earning in the future, if analysts actually had some sense and really understood the significance of making a self-developed chip here in China that nobody else has, building their own software that nobody else ever had, they got to give accurate projections into the future. NIO could totally be a $1 trillion company, but we're still in the phase where we just bought the seed, we planted the seeds. It's not growing into a tree yet. We still need time. We still need time for it to bear fruit. It's not ready. It's not ready. But when it does bear fruit, that's when you start earning the money. Like Onvo cars haven't even started deliveries. Neither has Firefly sub-brand. Until that happens, then I think investors might be a little bit more confident. So having that said, right, we're in a very interesting phase where people are getting impatient. And those impatient people are selling. They're selling the stock. Whereas those patient people, all right, you know for a fact that in the future, the revenue streams are going to be crazy. You know for a fact that NIO is worth at least $1 trillion. You know for a fact that now is actually not the time to sell and perhaps buy in, even though the stock price could teeter down lower. 10 years down the line, $650 a share, $1 trillion company, that's definitely on the table. Right? I'm not kidding you, with the tech that they have. So why panic now? Why get impatient now? Why do you let the stock price dictate how you feel? Why do you expect the plant to bear fruit when you just planted the seeds, when you just bought the seed and just planted the seeds? And it's going to take time, guys. It's going to take time. So if you can't wait 10 plus years for NIO stock to become $1 trillion company, then I guess your best course of action is to abandon ship. But of course, not financial advice. You do what you do. I got all the patience in the world. I know what's going to happen. I'm certain of it. As always, stay safe, stay healthy. Peace out.